welcome to Oh Brother, a podcast where we try to figure it all out. With your hosts, Brandon and Colin. On this week's show, a tale of two shows.
Ahoy!
Ahoy!
How's it going?
Oh, pretty good.
Yeah?
Pretty nice day today. Not 20 million degrees. So
I know. It was like 68 degrees this morning. And I was like, yes, this is the temperature. This is the holy temperature. This is good.
that's true. It's really weird because, was it Monday? It was like 100. So I don't really have any idea what's happening right now. I'm very confused.
No. Well, I know we had quite the storm front move through yesterday. So that was very intense, at least up here.
It was not. It was just
really?
like, here's some rain. Okay. And some more rain. It just rained a lot. It wasn't like big, bad, boom.
Oh, well, we got
shaky.
Well, we got, I guess when I say bad, I think, we got in town, they had like almost 6.5 inches of rain. And down in Branson, they had 7 inches of rain over the course of like an hour.
Yeah, that's true.
So it was a lot.
Here's the question. What does that mean for lake-based activities that may or may not be happening in the near future?
I think there's more lake for the activity.
There's more lake.
So that's what I'm.
That's fair.
Yeah, that's what I'm excited about. Because we have activities to be done, and now we've got more lake to do them.
More
on.
lake in which to do them.
Yes, this is the perfect time for this to take place.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know what you're worried about.
I don't know.
Oh,
I didn't know if that's how this works. I'm not
lake
sure.
levels. Let me just go down and see this.
I'm not a lake boy, so stay tuned, listeners, for Brandon's lake activity report. We'll see.
I'm on the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers lake levels.
I mean, it's their fault. There's a lake there anyway, so hopefully they're monitoring.
Right?
Them.
Yeah, they could do something about it. Yeah. See, let's see here. What is? Usually they have flood stage is 695. It's currently at 663. So we're fine.
So we're fine. Look at that. Worried about nothing.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Over the course, yeah. I mean, there's a lot there, but
or at least the dam isn't worried about it. That's the important part.
Right.
As long as the dam is not worried about it.
Yeah, we still have a lot of rain to go, so it looks fine. The power pool is at 661, so we're even above that. So we're generating. It's fine. Looks like base pool is 660. So
there you go.
We only raised by 3 feet. Yeah, it's crazy. It's generating 7 megawatts right now.
Oh, there we go. In
case you want to know.
Yeah, I wasn't, but all right.
The turbines, they're releasing at 675 cubic feet per second.
That sounds like a lot.
Yeah, well, no, it's actually not.
I don't know how much is supposed to.
So yesterday,
I have no context. I have no baseline with which to base any of these numbers that you're throwing at me right now. I have
exactly.
I have no reference point whatsoever.
That's what the perfect numbers out of context. This is a new form of the show. Out of context numbers. To put this, so yesterday at 1 o'clock, the turbine release was 800 CFS by that was 1 a.m. Sorry. So that was before the rain. In the middle of the rain at 9 a.m., they were releasing 3,400 cubic feet per second. So that's how quickly they ramped up. They went from generating 9 megawatts to 50 megawatts, and then it slowly tapered off back from there. So they did a huge release between 9 and 10 to control the flooding there. So
there you go. Sorry, all down river locations.
Hope you like water. Yes.
Yeah. There you go.
So yes. So there we'll be fine.
There you go.
I forget that's a power generating dam.
I mean, if you're gonna have a dam, you might as well have it generating power. I feel like
if
you're gonna have one, and it's not generating anything at all, you're kind of wasting you're literally potential energy is what you're doing.
Well,
that's what you're doing.
That's the I think the Truman Dam up north on the Osage, I don't think it generates any power at all. It's purely a flood control dam. Is that right? Is that right?
Oh, well, it might be because that's a pretty old one. So I don't know if this is true, but I imagine if you don't build a dam with hydroelectric power in mind, retrofitting it to be a hydroelectric power generator is probably super difficult.
Yeah.
It sounds like it would be really hard and compromise the structural integrity of the dam. So once it's done, once it's built, I think that's it. I think that's just all. I could be wrong about that. Dam experts, please message us, weigh in, tell us. But I don't know.
So yeah. I think lake activities are good to go.
All right, there we go.
Did you
stay tuned?
No, yeah. Not to spoil us. Did you know that we're going fishing?
I had heard this rumor.
Like on a guided fishing thing.
Yeah. So here's that's and I was like, what? I was thinking just like jovially messing around here and there, right? But like, I wasn't expecting to take this seriously. Now
it's a whole day.
Yeah. Here's the other problem. Brandon's attention span about 12 seconds. So like, fishing for like an hour, I can probably do that.
Oh,
right. Fishing for multiple consecutive hours, I don't think that's actually possible. Like, I don't like when I was envisioning going fishing, right? What I was imagining is like we would go like a little bit here and then go do something else. And this is just how I do everything. So maybe I was wrong.
You flit from thing to thing.
Yeah, I do. I flit from thing to thing. So maybe I was wrong to project here, right? I was projecting on all of you. I'm sorry about that. I did not mean to. But like, we go out and mess around for a while. And if it gets hot, then we like go back and like have lunch, go like swim and whatever. And then we go again, right? Mm-hmm. Like, that's what I was envisioning in my head. I wasn't thinking anything but like bank fishing, right? Just like, we'll walk over here and we'll do some fishing there. Okay, that was fun. And then we'll go back and blah, blah, blah. I was not envisioning like a multi-hour fishing excursion. And I'm a little afraid of that because I don't know.
Yeah. We get lots of, I don't, boy, howdy. Yeah. It's going to be, I now more than ever, I want to bring the mobile recording rig and just have it set up on the boat.
I think that's bad. I feel like, here's the other problem. Whenever I go multiple hours without catching any fish, then I will surely become supremely bored and want to give up everything and not try. Like, I don't. That's how I played. This is why I don't play golf, right? As just bring it back to the worst sport ever. That like whenever I did used to go play golf with my friends, right? I've never played like 18 holes. Maybe I did one time. I think I might have tried to play 18 holes of golf one time. The problem with this is that after about 6 holes of golf, I'm kind of done with golf. Right?
Yes.
So like the 9 is okay. I can power through the 9. We used to go to the par 3 9, the 9-hole par 3 golf course, because that's fast, right? It's like speed golf. Mm-hmm. So you get done. You go out, you have fun with your friends, and you're done. Go do something else.
Yeah.
But like a long, extended period of like having to like concentrate on things for like a really long amount of time, can't. There's not enough feedback in things like this for me, right? Like, I don't know. This is what I don't know.
Well, yeah, we recently went putt golfing on like a little 9-hole putt golf course, and by the end of that, I was like, okay, cool. Well, that was a thing I did. Let's just
even by the last time I played putt, like I feel like Susan will tell this story differently, right? Because she did beat me at golf, at putt golf, and she will say that she destroyed me from beginning to end, right? But sort of my version of events here is that I got really tired of putt golfing. And it was hot. And I was like, she's glaring at me now. She came in to look at me. She kept the score. I gave you credit. I said you won, dear. I said you beat me at putt. Oh, she's telling me this. She's like, excuses.
Yeah, that's kind of what this sounds like. Like, yeah, you beat me, but if I hadn't gotten tired.
But I did get really not interested in putt after a while. It was just like way too much mini golfing. The mini golfing is supposed to be like fun and like zany, and there's like weird things. We're in Branson somewhere. I think there were pirates involved. I'm not entirely sure about that. But like, yeah, I was just like, oh man, can't do this. I'm tired of putting. I don't know.
So yes, so that's exact same where it's very interesting for a little bit, but my attention span just goes to the garbage. So I have to figure out how to pace this thing.
So what you're saying is we're about to annoy the bejesus out of this fishing dude. Because he's probably like, if he's a fishing guide, he's like serious maybe. I don't know. Lake people are weird. There's two types of lake people. There's lake people that take like everything like super serious, and then there's like lake bum people.
Yes.
Right? Similar to the beach related activities, right? But here in the Midwest and the Ozark region, you get two kinds of lake people. You got super serious lake people, and then like just the bummiest. They just like lay in the chair all day, right? Which is fine too. I don't care. But like, I can't do that either. Like we've been going to the park, right? To like exercise and stuff.
Yeah.
Right. And so after we go, we sit down. I've told you about this. We sit down on the bench by a soccer field and kind of like, just recover a little bit, right? We do our stretching and then sit on the bench and hang out for a while. And like, Susan wants to sit and enjoy the nature and like feel the breeze. And I'm like, can we go? And I'm really like messing with her calm, man. Like it's real
really yucking on my yum over here.
Yeah. So about 5 minutes, I'm pretty good. And then after that, I'm like,
calm.
Okay.
I'm calm now. Calm enough.
We'll see. We'll see how this works. But
yeah.
I'm a little nervous. Because I'm a flitter, especially this summer, right? Like, I've been like, whenever I'm afraid about the sudden jarring out of my rhythm, right? Because like we've been going to exercise, and then I've been like reading for a while, and then I've been like watching TV and playing video games and like reading, like bouncing around to like working in the house, doing laundry, cooking stuff, but like it's all zap. And now, like, being presented with a big blank canvas with like nothing on it, it's like, what do I do though? How do I? There's nothing to flip between, and I don't know.
Yeah, the options get real narrow. I envision riding the ferry quite a lot. That'll be fun.
Let's go like one time.
No, you'll ride it back and forth.
Well, you have to ride it back. I mean, you can't just ride it
twice.
You have to go forth, right? You have to go back and then forth again, right? You can't.
Yeah. Now, unfortunately,
Actually, I think you have to go forth and then back. Actually, I think that's how that has to work.
Then back, yes, because otherwise you would be not where you want to be.
But the other problem is there's not a lot on the other side.
No, I was just about to say that even once you get on the other side, it's still like 40 minutes to something else.
Yeah.
So
I think there's a little something close by, but it's like teensy. So like, I don't think there's much.
Yeah.
It's not much to do.
Yeah. I will say that there is a restaurant 30 minutes away.
Okay.
And I think we have to drive through Ludi to get there.
Oh, yeah. Is that the one in like Theodosia?
Yes. Theodosia.
I think there may be 2 restaurants in Theodosia.
Yes. Now we have eaten at that one before.
You have?
Yes.
You have?
Yes. Like 4
this
years.
Conservation Colin? Is that what happened?
This was no. This was civilian Colin.
We're just out with Dad. He's like, diner, go.
Yeah. He just finds them, right? He finds them. So he knows he has all the hidey places. True. So yeah, that became, So yeah, I think that one's fine. We'll drive through Ludi a couple times, get to stop out and run around, throw rocks at the sign.
I'm just excited to know where it is. That's the most important thing. Like, found. Bam. Stamp. Get the
check. Yes.
The Ludi sign picture. Just drive on. That's it. Ha!
Well, I mean, there's not a whole lot more to do there. We'll see.
I don't think so.
Cool shot.
Probably a fire station. And then like
yes. All coming together.
Yeah.
League. So yeah, that'll be fun. I am trying to get so much done before next week.
I bet you are. I'm a little worried about you. I don't know.
A little worried about me too.
Oh no.
I'm a little worried. I mean, just like trying to get like way far ahead on some projects. Like we're still trying to hire a bunch of people. So I'm trying to push as much through so that I can possibly do like an in-person or two, like Monday or Tuesday, then give them, say, okay, we'll give, just try and get as far forward on that. Then like podcasting, just like, it's all these projects. It's like, I have set release days for things. I have these set things. I'm now trying to double up on work to get ahead of it. And it's not gone well. It's not going well at all.
Sadness.
So yeah,
big
but
sadness.
It'll be fine. But other than that, yeah, it's been we've been rocking and rolling. We got our first client in a particular country club here in town. So
there we go. Now the floodgates are open. Now you're in.
No, right? No, it won't be. It won't be. When you talk to people, what do they? Oh well, my dog is super spoiled, which means they don't want to use us, right? It's fine. I understand. It's whatever.
That's true.
But also, I'm now interacting with like country club security guards and like going through like giving my name and number, and I'm I have this thing in my brain where I think it's just fighting for legitimacy. And so when you come through, they give you different colored mirror hangers that tells people why you're there.
Yeah.
So they've got like all sorts of colors. I've only seen 2. Red means you're a visitor. Yellow means you're a contractor. And
are you yellow?
Well, I'm supposed to be a yellow, but sometimes they give me a red, and I feel like I've been slighted. Like, no,
what the heck?
I will not take this. I'm not just a visitor. I'm here to take these people's money.
Yeah, independently contracted to walk their dog.
Yeah.
Get out.
And trying to get the security guards to understand what I'm doing, they don't. It's not a thing. The very first time I showed up, he wanted to know where who I was with, who I was visiting, and where that person lived. They'll ask you that. Say, what street's that on?
Yeah, because they want to make sure you're not sneaking in, right?
Right.
Why you would sneak into a country club, I have no idea. But
not the foggiest idea.
It's a thing to do. And so, like, they want to know who you're there to see.
Yes. Yes.
Right. Like,
so it doesn't, but unfortunately, I don't memorize where people's addresses are. So when they asked me that, I had to pick up my phone and look at it, which just looks super suspicious. It's just like, where are you going? Let me read on my phone moment, please. Thank you.
I mean, that's fair. You don't necessarily memorize.
So I said something like, oh, let me check my software. I think that's what I said. Let me check my software. Double
that sounds
check.
Businessy. That's not
very
like
businessy. Yes.
That's not like
what I was trying.
Wet Bandits, right? They don't have software.
No, they don't have software. They wouldn't even think to say that. You can't fake that.
Yeah,
It's like, if you're a cop, you have to tell us, it's like you guys can't. So anyway, I've been spending mornings and evenings walking around there, and just it's actually very peaceful to walk back there. Because there's nobody out. Nobody.
Oh yeah.
Nobody.
They're either in their house or on the golf course.
Or at their third home, which is where this client is.
Oh, yeah, it's true.
Right?
Or not there, I guess.
Or just not there. Like that's.
But the people that are there, well, I guess they go to the country club to eat.
Sometimes, yes,
they do. But they do that. I mean, they live in a country club and they can go there, so that a lot of people just go and eat there. I've only known one person that lived there, and it was like my friend's dad. And so, again, there's two types of people at the country club: very serious people, and then people that drink all the time. Those are the two people similar to the lake. Two people at the country club. And so they're on the golf course doing that, or in the country club doing that, or sitting in their house doing I don't know what they're doing. But that's wondering why you're there. That's what they're doing.
Staring out their curtains, looking at you, going, "Why are you there? What are you doing?
Yeah,
what are you? Who's that person?"
That's every neighborhood has one old lady that does that, but that's just a whole community of people that do this
with a fence around them. They can all just stare at each other from their half open blinds. Yeah, and I was realizing that too, walking around these massive, 15,000, 18,000 square foot homes. Oh right, they have no reason to be outside. Everything they just.
That's true.
Stay indoors, right? I'm sure some of them even have little out, enclosed greenhouses or whatever they can go, patio things that they can go and just stay on. And
what do you call that? What is the name of that? Ah, dang it. My brain turned off. Old movies, they have the room where there's all the plants. What is that? The solarium or whatever.
Solarium? Yes. So I've been spending my mornings there and doing that, and then doing nice hour-long walks in the evenings, which has been particularly nice.
Oh, there you go.
I enjoy those a lot. So, yeah, I knew it was a different kind of call whenever I was talking to the person's personal assistant.
Yeah,
I was like,
that'll change it up real quick, right?
Okay, well, yeah, we're different clientele. Hello. Let me put on my good shirt.
Yeah, get that polo on. Don't be don't be flitting around the country club in the t-shirt version.
No t-shirts. Yeah, that you get pointed out as a intruder.
They may not let you in the door. Is what they may not do. They may be like, sorry, buddy. You gotta go.
Here's the here's the extra shirt that we give to people who don't show up dressed appropriately. You can go.
Like the dinner jackets. They're like, here's you get the extra dinner jacket and to go.
See, this is what we've been doing and dealing with. So
it's actually just a blazer, which is not a formal attire, but that's fine. Everything's fine. And we can conflate.
Say that.
It isn't. People. Blazer's not formal. That's not.
So thusly decreed.
We need to stop judging everything by Victorian dress standards. Okay. Wow. We're getting a little bit weird. I'm not changing my clothes 5 times a day, depending on the hour and the activity I have planned. No, I refuse. I'm not.
It sounds very much like me, where I kind of start the day and I figure out all the activities that I have to do. And then I kind of thread the needle with what I'm going to wear that would genuinely kind of fit most of them.
That's fair.
Now, unless it's going to be like a nice dinner or like a,
there are exceptions, obviously, where you have to go and really, there's no getting out of it. You have to, but for your normal day, it's not. It's fine. Like whatever. It's okay.
Yeah.
Well, I have not been doing anything very exciting at all. So I would like to talk about the tale of two shows on Amazon Prime. Right. This is what I've been doing some of my summer. Been catching up a little bit, right? Now I'm not all this is a halfway review. I think I've only watched the first 4 episodes of both of them.
That's enough to get you to know.
Yeah. And so this is not a completed review, but the themes still stand. Right.
Hey.
And so we're gonna talk about that real quick. Before I discuss this, I have to angrily talk about Amazon Prime Video, though, right?
Oh,
Amazon. Amazon. Okay. I don't know who you think you are and who you think you're like fooling, but being like, oh, by the way, now we're gonna run multiple ads in the middle of your service that you already pay way too much for to watch because we can't manage money. And Jeff needs money to buy more ugly hats and stuff and go to space.
Or cool sunglasses.
No. What? No. The whole point is to not do that. What are you doing? Stop it. It's annoying and stupid and greedy, and I don't like it. Okay, there you go. That is out of the way. There you go. Capitalism ruins everything. Yet again? All right.
It is really frustrating because it's a paid service. I know it's not the service they're being paid for, but it's like, oh my gosh, like they're ruining
but one of
this.
the reasons they upped the price originally is so that they would include the service.
Yeah.
Right. And now, because you're overpaying people to make these shows and some of them are not good, right? That's not my fault. Okay. It's not my fault that you screwed that up and you mismanaged your money. And you're just going to charge me more and take advertiser revenue to pay for that? Like, what are you doing with your life? Like, why? What is this nonsense? Like, the greed level is just off the charts. It's just ridiculous. All right. Enough of that. I want to talk about our perennial favorite show, The Wheel of Time.
Oh, no.
Oh, no. Wheel of Time season 2. Right.
Okay.
I've been attempting to watch that. So what I've been doing is I've been watching A Wheel of Time season 2. Further referred to as just Wheel of Time because I'm not going to say the whole thing.
No, don't.
But it's implied second season, part 2. I've been juxtaposing that by watching the Fallout show that is on Prime. Right now, I'm going to base this entire conversation. Right, I'm going to preface this whole thing saying yes, I do have a slight bias in source material. Right, because as previously stated, I've never read The Wheel of Time. I don't want to actually at this point. I'm not interested at all. Right, like every book is like 800 pages, and there's like a whole bunch, and people say that in lots of the books, like nothing really happens, and so I'm not about that life. I can't. The Fallout is of course based on the video game series. Right, it's like post-apocalyptic nuclear times. Okay, so it's kind of like what's the word they have? Oh, it's like retro futurism, right? Sure. So it's like, what if the world only functioned on 1950s technology? Right. So there's like vacuum tubes everywhere and like all the tech and stuff, even though it was like, it's kind of like the microchip was never invented. Right. So even though the bombs fall in like 2077 or whatever, the tech is still like, it's just iterations on 50s tech only. So it's got this like vibe.
Yeah.
Right? And part of the Fallout charm that the show executes well, that we'll get to in a minute, is like the soundtrack. Cause like all the soundtrack is like very 50s pop stuff. Right. So it's very interesting. So anyway, that's what we're going to talk about here. Right. Just like kind of how adapting material into a television show can go good or go bad. Right. And now this again, I'm nervous again because I just heard that in the fall, they're supposed to be adapting. The Amazon Prime has scheduled a new show about the Yakuza series, right? The Like a Dragon thing. And I love those video games. Those video games are incredible, right? And they better not pass that one up. I'm grumpy about that. But like some of the decisions in television making, right? Like, I think, I don't know, like it's hard to know where to start here because these are two very different shows. They both have like serious tones and there's like serious stuff going on, but like the way that people respond and deal with them are very not the same, right? And so like, I guess to get the background out of the way, like let's talk about just like TV stuff in general, right? Like the most jarring thing when you watch both of these shows, I've been watching them back to back because I don't really like the Wheel of Time. So I've been watching that. And then I've been watching Fallout afterwards.
It's a little palate cleanser. Yeah, a little palate cleanser. Like,
yeah. So like one of the things that happens is like the lighting department. Right? Like, yes, one of these shows is like in a wasteland, right? It's like a deserty. It's kind of like California. It's supposed to be like Southern California, I guess. Kind of in that area. But like, or at least I think so. I don't remember where it's supposed to be set. But like, anyway, outside is like very bright and vibrant and like, oh, it's very colorful and stuff. In the Wheel of Time, you can never see what's happening because it is so dark all the time.
Gotcha.
Even the daytime. It's dark, right? And I know we've talked about this before, but like, I think, sometimes you say like you're watching a show and you're being all like, well, like it's not even nighttime. How can they see things, right? Because you forgot that to watch television or a movie, you need suspension of disbelief, right? And then it sounds like a cool idea until you see it executed, and you're like, bro, what? I cannot see anything. I have no idea what's happening. I saw a quote from one of the people that worked on the Lord of the Rings, right? And they were talking about stuff and like the Battle of Helm's Deep, and I think it might have been Elijah Wood or one of the hobbits asked him, like, well, if it's nighttime, where is all this light coming from to see by? And the guy turned and looked at me and goes, the same place the music's coming from. Bam. And he was like, oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense because it's a production and you can't see anything if it's happening, right? Like, so one of the problems is that it's just so dark all the time, and it'll literally be like the middle of the afternoon, dark in a cave. Forget about it. You're just looking at you can see yourself on your phone screen, right? Just like you got the brightest turned all the way up, you can see your eyeball. Like, man, this is great. What a wonderful show is happening here.
Right.
So there's that, right? I think the other one is just like whoever's directing these actors is another problem, right? Because like in the Fallout show, again, we have multiple characters. Okay. They are all acting differently, right? They all are emoting differently because they're different people, right? Every single person in the Wheel of Time is dour and serious, and annoyingly, they all talk like this. Every line of dialogue is delivered in this tone.
Oh yeah,
and you can't hear it.
Very hushed and serious.
Very hushed and serious.
Yes,
and you have no idea what's happening because they're not talking. Will say, even though her character is not particularly interesting currently, but she's not really doing anything, that I can't remember the names. The Egwene girl, she's the best actor by far out of all of them because she actually has like emotions on her face, and she's really giving it her all. So you, lady, whose name I don't remember, good job. You're doing all right so far. not the plot, not particularly interesting. In 4 episodes, the plot has not advanced in the Wheel of Time like at all. Right?
What?
There's just like nobody says anything. Right? You have no idea what's going on. And you know the parts in Harry Potter that everyone hates because like you're just like, yo, Harry, if you just talk to your friends, this conflict would be resolved in like 5 minutes.
Oh, sure. Yes.
Right?
Yes.
That's the Wheel of Time season 4 so far. Or the 4 episodes so far. Like it's just like Moraine not talking to anybody. The girl, the serious girl, not talking to anybody. They're just no one's telling anybody anything, right? Like they're all like, oh, I'm just gonna suffer in silence. Like, guys, what are you doing? And like annoyingly, like sometimes when you do this, right? What you do is you, as the writer, is you like leave clues to the audience that like the character knows something else. Like you get clues about what they know, and then you kind of know why they're not saying stuff, right? And it kind of makes sense. The trope's a little annoying, but like it still kind of makes sense, and it continues on. It goes on. No, you get nothing. You get no breadcrumbs from the Wheel of Time people.
Oh,
nothing at all. Everyone's just like quiet and not talking. And then when they do talk, they talk like this. And like,
fantastic.
You're just like, why is this going on?
Oh, no.
It feels like it's just been like years with nothing happening. It could be like 2 days. And I have no idea. Like the concept of like actual time doesn't exist, which is weird because it's in the show title. So sure. Like how long do things take to happen? I don't know. Right? Like, is this going on for like many days? An hour? Like I have no idea.
That's so frustrating because it's things have to be at least sure you have to suspend belief, but also like part of good storytelling is being engaged. And if you're constantly wondering like when is this taking place with, how, like it makes it feel like more of a drudgery, because then it just shows that you're hyper aware of how quickly it is not progressing.
Yeah, like there's no main, like the story isn't moving. Like some of the sub stories aren't even moving. They're just like, yep, we're still here. So like I don't know if that's because it's been like 3 hours or like if it's supposed to be a big deal because it's like 3 days.
Yeah.
Right. And like I think that in the Fallout show, right, again, we have at least 3 main characters, right? Sometimes there's some other ones, but like, well, there's 4. There's really 4 points of view that you're following. But like some episodes, you don't even see one of them, right? Which indicates to me there's a lot of time passing and that person is like going to where they said they were going to go, right? In the Wheel of Time, we have check-in with every single person all the time. And they're not even doing it. They're just like sitting, right? They're just like, oh, they're sitting over there. Like, oh, they're looking forlorn into the middle distance. Like, oh, they're just like constantly reminding you these people exist. Granted, there are more of them, right? There's a ton of people in the show.
Well, sure,
and, but like, they're like, don't forget about this guy. Don't forget about them. Don't forget about him. Don't forget about him. Like, I don't care about half of these people because they're just sitting there doing nothing. So like, why? Why don't even know what they're progressing towards, right? Like the mystery, I just don't understand the point, right? And like the plot device is the big one. So like so far in Fallout, 4 episodes in, we know everybody's trying to find like, well, not everybody, but I guess they were trying to find this one guy, and that was it. Like everybody was looking for one dude. Boom. That makes sense. In the first 2 episodes of Wheel of Time, I have no idea what's going on. 0. I know that the girls were in the tower thing, right? I know that Rand is hiding. I know that big guy is off with some random soldier dudes. I don't know why or how he got there. And then I know Matt is a different Matt, but he's there somewhere. Like he's locked in a room. Cool. Like it doesn't.
Yeah.
What are they doing?
Very captivating. Sounds like.
Yeah, and like because everybody keeps their intentions secret, but you have no idea what they're gonna do. Right? In the Fallout show, Lucy is looking for her dad. Done. Very clear. Right? That's it. You get to see why she's looking for him, but she tells everybody, I'm looking for my dad. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
That helped.
Like everybody else was looking for this scientist guy. And she was looking for scientist guy because she heard that he needed him to get to her dad. But like, that was it. Everybody knew everybody was looking for the scientist guy. Because it was very clearly stated what their motivation was. And then when they behaved in weird ways, you knew that that's because of their character, right? Like, why is that person doing weird things like this? Well, you get to see some of his backstory, why he did that. Why is the Brotherhood of Steel guy doing that? Well, because you saw some of his backstory and you know that he's trying to prove himself, right? So like, it makes sense because you can see it and they say what they're doing. In the Wheel of Time, you see what's happening, but you have no idea why.
And I know sometimes they will do that so that you are left wondering, and then you'll get at the very end, they'll do like that montage cut of like what was actually happening behind the scenes, and they'll do the look back. And,
yeah. But not knowing anybody's motivation.
That's bad.
It's like I get you want to keep the whatever the heck Moraine is doing. That's like your big mystery. Like, what in the world is Moraine doing? No one has any idea. It's a mystery. I'm not even sure Moraine knows what she's doing at this point.
Probably not.
But like, all the other people, like, totally wolf guy or whatever, like, what is he doing? Why was he with these people? Why is he just wandering around? I think I'm led to believe that he's supposed to be like discovering his wolfiness. I think that's what's happening right now.
Oh.
But why?
Oh.
What's the point?
And
why is he so sad about it?
Some legend is he's meant for something. You're gonna find that out.
Who knows? But like, it's so dour. And like, yeah, I know that you're way out in the middle of the woods with no friends, but like, just so like cryy all the time, like everything, and talking like this, and like not doing, like, it's so confusing. I don't understand.
So do you think it's I don't know how to ask this, like, is it the character development? Is it the writing? Is it the acting? I think
it's the writing.
The writing,
right?
Yeah.
I feel like, I've never read The Wheel of Time. So anybody who's read The Wheel of Time, please feel free to comment on this statement right now. Do people in the book talk this ridiculously? Or did the show writers take all of the dialogue and just throw it out the window and write completely new dialogue for everyone?
Sure.
Which I know happens sometimes because they're like, oh, I'm the show writer. I'm going to show what's up, right? Even though you have like dialogue and everything already written down by the author of the source material, right? I know that sometimes that's a thing that happens. And I know you have to change some stuff because there's like characters that aren't there and there's situations that you add and stuff like that. But like, is all of the dialogue in the Wheel of Time this bad? Does everybody talk without actually saying anything? Because if so, I'm definitely never reading that book because that sounds horrible. Like, I don't. I can't. I don't know, man. It's so. I think it's gotta be the director because in the Wheel of Time, like because every single person is doing these things, it has to be the direction, right? Not everybody is gonna act like this terribly on purpose, right? They have to be. They're being told what to do, so I don't fault the actors in this because they are being told what to do, right? And for some of them, it makes kind of sense, but like nobody is happy. Nobody is. I know that there's like a world-ending bad guys and blah 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 blah. But like,
well, see, yeah.
But I don't know anything about that. I know that they're there. I know that they're gathering. The enemy is gathering strength. Boom! I know that. How are they doing it?
So foreboding.
Yeah, right. Well, like, that's like, what are they doing? Right? Like, why are they again? I understand. I know the motivation of like Egwene. I understand this. Like, she has clearly stated her motivation to us, right? She wants to learn to be more magical so that she can protect the people that she loves. She has stated this out loud with emotion, right? To several people. So she has a clear plan, right? And I can get behind that. Like, the fact that she, random person, is like the most interesting person in the whole show is like, like, I can't care about anybody else because they're so like stoic and they're all like, yes, and I'm going to talk this loud about my stoicism and not. It's just like every single character is doing the trope where they're like, I don't want to let people in because I don't want to get hurt again. Like,
Yeah.
But it's like 5 people. Like, you need one person can do that. Right? That's a fine trope for a person. But like 5 people? Really? What are you doing? Why?
Well, and that
like,
makes it. You'd hope that there'd be at least one character who's like rising above that and, doing the, leading better or pushing people through. But yeah, if everybody's just a dour sourpuss, you're like, well, this is that's not fun to watch because nothing gives you hope or,
yeah. There's no reason. Like, the only other person that's like even like remotely jovial sometimes is that Matt guy, right? But like, he's clearly being manipulated by Red Witch Lady, right? Super hateful red lady. And like, she's doing something to him. Like, she's like, let him go, but she's like making him go. You know what I mean? She's like controlling the situation. So he's just like, but he's not in the show very much. So like, he doesn't even, he's the only person they forget exists. So like,
don't get updates on the one person that would actually help change the tone
the
of
one
this.
person who's like, you kind of know what's going on, right? Red Lady basically manipulated him into think that he was able to escape with the person in prison next to him, but person in prison next to him is doing something for Red Lady, right? She's forcing her to take him somewhere. So like, you've seen that duplicitous action, right? So you know that wherever he's going, he's in peril. And so like, you have feelings about him, kind of, even though you don't ever see him. You know that he is in trouble because he's being manipulated to go along in this situation for some reason. And so you don't know what the reason is, but you know that he has to go somewhere. So you're sympathetic towards him. Everybody else, you're just like, whatever. I don't know. Like, and there's not even like any action really to like break up the pacing. There's no like, I was gonna say gunfights, but in Fallout there's gunfights. There's no guns in real time. But like in Fallout, there's like everything's paced. It's like paced, like action sequence, like walking sequence. They do the thing. They do the Lord of the Rings thing where you're like, somebody's walking somewhere, big panoramic shot to show that traveling has happened.
Yes.
New location.
Yes.
Right. That's in real time. You get someone's here, someone somewhere else. Did they apparate there? What's going on? Again, that's part of the like, I don't know why, like, the timetable of things, again, ironically, because I don't see them going, even if they're not doing anything, right? Watching Lucy just like walk through the desert in a big panoramic shot, and then, or a couple panoramic shots, and then like seeing her in a new locale tells me that she has traveled to get somewhere. Boom. Right? Ta-da. I don't.
Well, this is what the showrunners of the Game of Thrones towards the end were being kind of lambasted against too. They started to do this where all of a sudden distances just like were completely meaningless. And It's hard to do. I mean, it's hard. I feel like it's hard to do right and still hit a TV show expected length of. I need to show a lot of things are happening and people are moving, but how do I do that well and not do that in real time? Like, well, here we are walking for a long time, but too often it's just like we need to go to Northern Dale, and then it's like cutscene them walking into Northern Dale, and you're like, well, kind of not. Doesn't give me everything that I need to understand what's going on here.
And they don't even like the simple fix, right, is to like have an interaction with somebody a character just says like, oh yeah, we've been traveling for 4 days to be like, that's all you need. Just like a throwaway line to like the innkeeper, to the waiter, to the stable person, to the right, like whatever. But you just need some sort of indication about how long. Or like if they're meeting somebody, like, oh, it took longer than expected. Oh, yes, we got held up because of flooding. What, we had to take an extra day. Like something like that. You just need a signal to me about what happened.
Well, right? And the other thing that I know that was the first series or whatever was tough was everything looked so brand new and sparkling. And so what happens here is that there's no attempt to show time or age changing or making people look more or less road worn and travel weary.
That's true.
Because they just like, I'm sparkly now, and then boop, I'm sparkly over here.
Yeah, I was gonna that's a good segue, because like the other thing is just naturally, like we talked about before, like I prefer the lived in aesthetic. Right? And so like Fallout has that because it's like very broken down, and you can tell it's been sitting out in the sun for like 100 years and no one's touched a thing, right? But like, so already okay, like everybody in Wheel of Time, their costuming is all just like immaculate and like brand new. They just sewed it and then threw it on them, right? In the 4 episodes of one of our main characters, Lucy, in the Fallout show, like at the end of the 4th episode, her shirt is all like messed up. She's got blood all over her arm. She's like bandaged up. She's wearing some like, in the video game, you have like armor pieces that you can find and you put them on over your clothing that you're wearing, right? She's added some of that aesthetic to her little vault suit thing, her like blue jumpsuit, right? So she has it like tied at her waist, and she's got like bandages all over her arm, and like she's wearing some of this like raider armor stuff. So like her aesthetic is very different from when she left, because at the beginning of the show, when she's in the vault, right, everything is like pristine and like perfect, right? And now she's all like destroyed. And like, so even in 4 episodes, you can see in her a lot has happened. Right? Like she's been through a lot already. Just like visually, you can look at her and be like, she's got like dried blood on her lip, or she's got this weird leather armor thing on. Like, like she's visually different than she was before. Everything was like perfect, and her suit was like clean and whatever. Right. So even if none of the other characters go through such a dramatic change, you can see the passage of time in her. Right. You can see that event. Right. We're like you said, in the Wheel of Time, you could travel, like Wolf Guy. He's been traveling for a long time. Looks exactly the same. Not dirty. He was even captured by some army people. He doesn't look like he was captured. He doesn't. He just looks the same as he always looks. Clean, pristine, no dirt anywhere. What? There's not even that thought of like, oh, time's passed and I can see, all this, right? Like in the Fallout show, one of the characters is a ghoul, which is like a person that's been exposed to too much radiation, and they have like they live really long time. They're like half mutiny people. That's like the lore. So like his costume is just like tatters, right? His jacket thing that he's wore, like the bottom is just like shredded to ribbons. And this visually indicates to you that he's been out here for a very, very long time.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, you need some perspective to know, like, what are we dealing with? Like, really, I think that it goes a long way to bringing people into the story without having to do a lot of exposition as well.
Yeah, because they can visually understand what's happening, right?
Mm-hmm.
And even the other character, the Brotherhood of Steel guy. So like he started out like all clean and stuff, but like he's been going for a while. His like armor suit thing is like got some dings on it. Like his little thing is kind of janked up. He wasn't even in the last episode that much, but like you can tell that he's going through some things as well. So like it's like visually very clear. And I don't know if that's because like it comes from a video game format when all of this visual input like matters a lot. Right? And maybe it's because I don't know. The people, from what I've heard, the people that are running the show are like super big fans of the video game. Like some of the producers of the game met with them and were impressed about like how well they were doing stuff. They're like, oh, okay, this is for real now.
Oh,
so like visually they nailed a lot of stuff, right? And so they care about, I think maybe because video games are such a visual medium, perhaps since the source material comes from that, these people are familiar with that aspect of it in a different way than the Wheel of Time people are. I don't know. I don't know if the people that have done the Wheel of Time show have actually ever read the Wheel of Time. I couldn't tell you. Like, it doesn't appear to me that they have, but like, I don't know. As someone who also hasn't, I don't really have any leg to stand on in that conversation. But like, it just feels so like weird to look at. I don't know. That's so yeah. That is the halfway mid-season review of Wheel of Time season 2 and the Fallout show. That's where we are right now. There's no plot review here, but like this is
it's good to know that the Wheel of Time series is continuing to meet expectations from last season. So
yeah, it didn't get better.
Didn't get better. That's sad.
I don't know if it got worse. I'm not sure. Tell you at the end, but it definitely didn't get better. Right? Like,
and that's a big difference. That's a big difference.
Yeah, it definitely didn't. It doesn't feel like it got better. I'm not sure it got worse. It might have got worse because all the characters are separated. And so, like, it's even more disjointed, right? Because it was kind of disjointed when they were all together all the time. And so now that everybody, except for those two girls, are separated, it feels even more like, what's happening? Where are you going? What are you doing now? Just like it feels more disjointed because everyone is spread out. So it might be slightly worse. I don't know.
That's a good boss.
Yeah, there you go. All right, stay tuned for the end review of whenever I get around to it.
Sure. Yeah, when there's time.
When and if I get around to it. That'll be. So there you go. That's what I've been doing this week. Contemplating television shows.
Compare and contrast.
Yeah, compare and contrast.
Always good.
Yeah. And of course, reading some Mark Twain.
Reading some Twain.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Oh.
Indeed. So we left off looking at a rather foreboding castle, right? Is that what we did?
Yeah. Yeah. He was trying to ascertain who owned this place. And Sandy was like, I don't know. I think
yeah. Didn't care. Nothing to explain here.
This chapter starts really weirdly because he's like, well, he talks about he's trying to figure out how he's going to figure out who lives here, right? He makes some sort of weird offhanded joke about I can't just go ring the doorbell because there is no doorbell. Like, what? And then, but like he sees somebody coming out of the castle, and so he's like, "Oh, I should just ask them," right? But of course, this person is he realizes he knows who this is.
Mm-hmm.
Right. This is just a side. Speaking of like not talking about things and just finding out later. Right. He's like, oh, this person is basically a roving advertisement stroke door-to-door salesman that, of course, he commissioned a while ago.
I love that
and forgot about.
That was a little idea of my own. Yeah, what's it? Persimmons soap. All the prime Donna use it.
Yes, there you go. Prima donna. And so like it's like, oh. So he's talking about here just how ridiculous it is, like just for me personally, that he's talking about like making the kingdom better and making life better for everybody, and he does that through advertising.
Aha, we have found it. Right, exactly. Advertising. Have to tell people about all the cool stuff going on in advertising.
Yeah, and so we get this really long rant about how the soap advertising scheme works out.
I love
like he
right. It goes in here like, yeah. He has a couple bullet points here, and then he says, secondly, these missionaries would gradually and without creating suspicion or exciting alarm, introduce a rudimentary cleanliness among the nobility.
Yeah.
What do you mean exciting alarm through cleanliness? Like education, freedom. It's
soap, right?
It's all tied in.
And it's so funny. Like it just how he's talking about the how dirty he's talking about how dirty they are, right? He's feeding into this myth that the Middle Age times were disgusting, right? And everybody's all dirty and like it's just gross all the time, right? But it's partly based on reality, right? Have you ever?
Yeah.
This reminded me of have you seen that thing about the Vikings when they invaded England, right?
No.
Have you ever read this thing? So it's from the 13th century, right? This is from the Anglo-Saxons, right? And it says, the Danes made themselves too acceptable to English women by their elegant manners and the care of their person. They combed their hair daily, according to the custom of their country, and took a bath every Saturday, and even changed their clothes frequently, and improved the beauty of their bodies with many such trifles, by which means they undermined the chastity of our wives. So the English were so mad that the Danish were so hot that they were
and clean, right? And clean, really here.
They're like, oh, I can't believe my wife likes that guy more than smelly old me. I can't understand.
Yes.
It's like,
guess I'll have to bathe now and succumb to the
I was reading this and I thought about that. I was like, oh my God.
That's hilarious.
That's what it made me think of immediately was that account. So apparently Hank feels the same way.
He does.
People stink. You got to get him cleaned up.
Yeah, and that way he won't look like such as a weirdo whenever he's the one bathing and such. So
he's all dressed a dandy still. So like
the dandy,
he won't stand out as much, right? Mm-hmm. So yeah. Anyway, they talk a long time about soap, and it didn't go well. This guy's had some trials and tribulations of a soap salesman and all that stuff, right? But we do find out who this castle belongs to, right? This is, of course, Morgan Le Fay, sister of King Arthur and wife of King Uriens.
Done.
Bam. Yes. So yeah, she is notoriously, apparently in this version of the story, not a very nice person at all. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of what we get. She's quite terrible, right? So that's where we go. But he goes in anyway. He goes a calling to see what's what, right? He just kind of goes, he gets sidetracked here. and just kind of goes, "Ooh, what's this over here? Let's go investigate." Right. This is how. Just to jump back to Fallout quickly, this is how video games work, right? You're going somewhere, you see a thing, and you go, "What's over there?"
Let me go explore this open world. Let's go.
Yeah,
see
so he's a side questing currently, right? He's I've kind of quite forgotten what he was supposed to be doing in the first place because he keeps getting distracted by all this stuff.
He does.
But yeah, so he goes in there and he sees what's going on, and like the first thing he sees to do is like stab some dude. Just like,
and someone would stab a rat. Yeah, harpooned a rat. Sorry, it just doesn't matter. And what strikes him is how it's just a matter of course. Like it's just it came so naturally to her as far as
she was
like as a
walking
reaction.
through the room, talking to somebody, turns around, stabs a guy, keeps walking.
Mm-hmm.
So she's very black-hearted indeed, right? And so he's kind of going on to see what's going on here. They're in the middle of some like music and stuff like that, right? And she's not happy with the music either, right? It's a whole thing. And so that's kind of where we get introduced to them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he starts talking about her dungeons, right? Her dungeons do have a reputation, right? And so she tries to like, she doesn't like the fact that he's there, and she's like, "Oh, maybe I'll, send you to the dungeon," right?
Oh,
and
he pays a compliment to the king.
To Arthur.
To Arthur. Yeah, he said something nice about him, forgetting that she utterly hates her brother.
Yes.
And immediately calls for him to be jailed.
Yeah. But Sandy saves the day again.
Again.
Right. So, she saves the day. She comes through in the clutch, right? She was like, "Do you know who this is?"
Yes. Yeah.
And they're like, oh, and then she tries to play it off as like, "Oh, I knew that. I just wanted to see some of your magic. Of course, I totally knew the whole time that you were you, obviously."
And this, yeah. What would she say? I did but play this little jest with hope to surprise you into some display of your art, as not doubting you would blast the guards with occult fires, consuming them to ashes on the spot. And then later on it says, she says, "Yet one with which I would long childlessly curious to see." And he says, "The guards were less curious and got out as soon as they had permission."
Yeah, this do you like that little that was pretty good, right? It's pretty good.
Yes. Yeah, so it's we've been introduced to a very hot-tempered individual here, and he's really going to start playing with a little bit of fire, I believe.
Yeah, I think so. So he kind of gets into it pretty quick. Like the next chapter, they're feasting. Is that what's happening? Oh yeah, we have prayer again, and then we have dinner time. Right. Oh no, this is where the musician thing is here. Right. And so he kind of is trying to figure out what he can do about the situation, right? And things like that. Like the musicians play a rendition of "In the Sweet By and By," which is, I don't think it's a middle-aged song, but whatever.
Think so.
Yeah, she does not like that, and like is going to execute them all anyway. It's bad. They're not good minstrels here. And then we have a lot more drinking and joyous behavior. The men are telling anecdotes, and they just kind of go on. We talk about the party here. There's something I was going to talk about. Where did I put that mark? But yeah, so that's kind of what's going on. Party happening. And then they're gonna, what is it? Oh, right. They a big to-do happens. There's like way late. They're staying up way, way late. And then there's a woman that shows up, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what happens. I couldn't find the spot. Sorry.
Oh. Yeah. Kind of quick turn. Yeah.
And she kind of brings light onto the situation, right? And she kind of makes known what is going on around here, right? And he gets Hank curious about what's going on behind the scenes in this establishment, right? And she says that the queen has, imprisoned these people and all this stuff, and he gets panicked and he's trying to figure out about what to do. And then he says that he's going to do something, or does Sandy say it again? And then
yes.
Sandy comes again, and she basically says he'll destroy the whole castle, right? And everything. If you don't say what's going on and we don't hear these people out, the castle will be destroyed and vanished. And Morgan believes that. He's like, "Oh, the poor queen was scared and humbled that she was afraid."
Made no sign of resistance. Yes.
And this part is really annoying because then he's like, "Okay, well," he says, "Well, they can. We'll see later." Or is that later? I can't remember. Well, but they're talking about how.
Yeah, he talks about how there's a big commotion, right? And then everyone's kind of like, kind of trying to clear out. And he says, well, they were a superstitious lot. Right?
Yeah. Okay, I was right after all. I wasn't wrong about that.
Yes, and he says even the queen herself is super afraid of this. Yeah. And
then that's where we get they're sitting around, it's getting late. They're sitting there and he hears these noises, right? Because the singing is done.
I'm sorry. First, after this, I just paged through. He to kind of move away from the situation, he has her call the band back in, and then he realizes that it was terrible, and he gives her permission to hang them because they were so bad.
They like get another performance. I couldn't remember if that was here in the next part, but yeah, he says, "Oh yeah," and he's like, "Oh," in that part it was like grumpy because he was like, "Oh yeah, who's gonna miss a few musicians anyway?" It's like, hey,
exactly.
Hey, wait a minute, what's going on here? What is it?
And this actually puts her into a good mood. I mean, I love what he's done here.
Yeah, she's like, "Oh,
they're terrible." Now that the queen was at ease in her mind once more and measurably happy.
Yes. And then so then now it's quiet because they're going out to be executed, and we hear some noises. And he's like, "What is that?" And she's like, "Oh, it's the dude downstairs on the rack." And he's like, "What?" On the what? And so he goes to investigate, right? And then we get into this whole big, very kind of silly exchange over a very serious situation, right? Where he's talking about, so this person is here because he was poaching deer in the royal forest.
Deer poaching.
He was accused by anonymous testimony, and he's like, "What?" And
yeah, he says, anonymous testimony isn't just the right thing, Your Highness. It were fairer to confront the accused of the accuser with the accuser. And she says, I had not thought of that.
Yeah. Well, then could this not unknown person be the person that killed the stag? I'm like, And then she's like, well, no one saw the stag killing, but this unknown person saw this man near the stag. And he's like, doesn't that mean that the unknown person was also near the stag? She's like, dang it. I got
exactly.
So then then he goes down, he frees the person, and he's talking to him, and there's a lady there, and she doesn't want to say things, and he's like, well, there's this whole big like miscommunication thing. He's like really confused about what's going on because he says, tell me, I want to know your side of the matter. And he like won't tell him what's going on. And then his wife is there. She comes from somewhere, I don't really know. And then she's like, "Oh, you should tell him," and he's like, "No, we don't want to tell." Blah blah blah, and like it basically comes out that he actually did kill the stag, but he didn't want to confess because then he would be guilty, which means that his wife and stuff would like, and son would like lose their property because he was a felon, right? But she like wanted him to tell the truth, but he's like, no, I don't want to tell the truth, and it's like really confusing. And Hank's just like, well, you can go now. I don't care.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's just a really weird, like,
kind of just goes, well, anyway, yep. Next.
Yeah. There's a lot of this, like, it's just like this weird, like, circular logic that's happening through this whole section. And like, Hank is just like, but why? That doesn't make whatever go. Like, I don't get. He just sort of gives up and is like, well, anyway, see you later.
Well, not before saying, I'll have you come to my factory where I'm where I'll recruit you to come and work in my colony, as he says it.
Because he's like, well, I could see that they have potential, so they can't go home now, and so to avoid this happening again, I'm just gonna send them to my man factory, which again is not a good name.
Not a good name.
21st century. It just sounds weird. It's got bad vibes, right? But now our final chapter today, he just decides to go, since he's down in the dungeon anyway. He just decides to go on a bit of a tour and just see what else in the heck is going on down here. And apparently her dungeon is full of just like really random people. And some of them have been there for so long that nobody knows why they were there in the first place.
Yeah.
Oh no. Oh no.
They're just there. Yeah. Just for whatever reason.
Yeah. And he does go on here a bit, and he starts talking about the between the lines part here is that like the only people in the thing are like the free man, the common folk, even though some of them are in here for crimes that people in higher powers have committed, and they never have to face any of the consequences for their actions. The consequences get sort of shunted down the line and they fall on the common man, and he has to take all of the brunt of the punishment for all the wrongdoing, even though other people will do the same thing, right? He starts talking here about this, like, it's very interesting, where it's like a gentleman could kill a free man commoner and pay for his fine, but a noble could kill a noble without any expense whatsoever.
Yeah. Yeah. And
like the richer and more powerful you are, the more crimes you can get away with, and nobody cares.
Yeah, and he's specifically pointing her out. He writes, she was a result of generations of training in the unexamined and unassailed belief that the law which permitted her to kill a subject when she chose was a perfectly right and righteous one. Meaning that this is part of it. This is a cultural thing, a belief of the nobility, that this is obviously their right because they're noble. And why, it's like the unexamined, unassailed, generational thing that's been built up that's now given these rights that nobody's questioning.
Yeah, because just by their station in life, they are better, right? They are more than, right? There's like the hierarchy in society. It's like the church at the top above all, then like kings, and then like your kind of noble-y people, and then the commoners, right? And it kind of is that in each, you're above other people. You're always above somebody, right? You always have somebody to subjugate over, or be better than, or be above, and have privilege of, right? So yeah, it's like anybody could kill somebody except for the common and the slave. They had no privileges. Yep. So if they killed, it was murder. But if anybody else killed anybody, just happened. It's a thing that happened, and it was no big deal, right? So we do kind of get some of that on here, a bit of the sociological outlook, right? Which again is unfortunately slightly still true. It's one of those depressing things. You're like, oh no, this is a 140-year-old book. Oh, dang it. I can't. No. Why? And then he goes about and he just decides he's just opening doors for people in the prison, letting them out.
Yep,
because
he's pricked by his conscience there.
Yeah,
to do this.
Some of them are like in there for reasons that he thinks are really stupid. And some people, like he said, they don't even know why they're in there anymore, and so he's just opening the doors. He's letting everybody out. It's a jailbreak, but he's got the key, right? So he kind of goes on about there's a husband and a wife who were arrested on their bridal night, and they've been just down there in separate cells the whole time, years later, right? And so they didn't even know what's going on. They've just been sitting in these stone cells for forever, and he's very distressed by this whole plan. They've been down there for like 15 years or something like that, maybe, and just sitting there, like they lost all of their skin color because they've been in the dark for so long, and it's just a very unfortunate time, right? So he's breaking them out, carrying people out of there. The queen did not like it much, right? Yeah. Any other thoughts about this part?
No, it's I'm trying to think of again this modern. I mean, I'm going to say modern sensibility, but here he is offended by this generational belief, backwards way of thinking, and trying to go about setting it right. And just a direct confrontation with that. And I don't know. It's a very it's a weirdly very dark part of the story so far. Like this part, like describing the conditions that people are in and the wrongful treating of things, and like how they are visually. Like it's definitely not a jolly time during this.
No.
It's taken a very dark turn at this.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Kind of, we think about juxtapose that to some like modern institutionalization of like imprisoning people, right? Because the only thing people in this book have in common is everybody in prison is a commoner, right?
Mm-hmm.
And again, that's still true, also, right? And some of the problems facing specifically the American prison system, right? Like that's true too, right? These are just normal people for the most part.
Well, and you see, he's even struggling in a few instances of like people with multiple crimes. Like there was somebody who killed an assassin, and so he was in prison for killing the assassin sent to kill him. And he's like, well, that's not wrong to do it, but you can kill him because he damaged the well. That's fine. So you kill him. It's like, going, no, wait a minute. This is a very weird, like he really is starting to like dole out justice, or what he seems as justice, of what is fair and what is not, almost somewhat as arbitrarily as before, for different reasons. He's still the one deciding for this.
Yeah, it's still not better than Morgan, right?
Yeah,
like because it's just a different person deciding over people, right? Instead of like a systematic like plan, like structure, is just like a person. It's still kingly. It's still a person deciding that they have this ability to lord things over other people, right? So it is kind of a weird thing that's happening. It's kind of a weird little chapter with that part. What do you think about like that? It's kind of odd. Like
it is.
It's a whole like weird thing. So, but you can tell he is struggling with what's going on, how bad it is. Like it is kind of dark, literally and figuratively at this point. I'm sure the Wheel of Time showrunners would just show you a black screen and just assume you knew what was happening.
Some quiet speaking in the background, assuming that there's movement. Yeah.
Some chains rattling and some people talking.
He goes on for quite a long time. This really, to me, hits a very low point where Mark Twain kind of flexes the emotions here, where he talks about the guy who is in this weird cell where he can still kind of see daylight, and he could see he could see the light shine there at night, and in the daytime he could see figures go by in and out. His wife, children, some of them, no doubt, though he could not make out who it was. He looked at festivities and rejoiced and wondered what was going on, and noted funerals, and they rung his this image of this guy in this hole staring out through. He can just see, all he can tell is light and day, right? Maybe hear some stuff, and imagining the whole world going on around him and continuing to move on without him. Like, this was really this is really sad. This is very very dark. Again, I've said that already, but we hit this point, right? And he said he could not make and he noted the funerals and they wrung his heart. He could make out the coffin, but he could not determine its size, so he could not tell whether it was his wife or child. This is just the depravity here of this position that Morgan Le Fay had placed these people in. And I think this is really to show what a horrible woman she was. And
because he was actually led to believe that was his whole family.
Yeah.
And they're not dead. None of them. Right? None of them. This is some Greek level of horribleness, right? Like, this is something Zeus would come up with, right? This is a very it's nuts, right? And he didn't even do anything really to be punished for it. I can't remember where it says that, but he didn't even really whatever his crime was, it wasn't even that big a deal, right? And she is just kind of horrible.
Yeah, and yet his crime. So it says, but for me, he never would have got out. Morgan Le Fay hated him with her whole heart, and she never would have softened toward him. And yet his crime committed was more of thoughtlessness than deliberate depravity. He had said she had red hair.
Yes, that's right. Apparently she had, but that was no way to speak of it. When red-haired people are above a certain social grade, their hair is auburn.
Yeah.
So, red-headed people, let me know if that's true. I don't know about that. I don't. Oh no. So yeah, that chapter's kind of weird, right? So we'll see. We'll see where Hank goes on his side quests next week. Next time here. So the side quests continue. I don't think we get to where we're going yet. So we'll see what in the world's going on here.
Yep.
It strikes me as interesting that he talks about how silly that these stories are, the night stories where people just travel around and do random things here and there, and then here he is traveling around and doing random things here and there. It's very it's very interesting that he's he's doing and living out the thing that he was bemoaning in the beginning of the book, right? Yes. One of the things anyway.
Yeah, of just how there was no rhyme or reason for a lot of these things, and there was no coherence to make sense of what was going on. Things just kind of happened.
Yeah, and here he is,
here
smack dab in the middle of things kind of happening around him.
Oh, yeah. I say this every week, and it still is true. Of I don't know how this is going to get all wrapped up, or what the punch is going to be at the end. of this.
Here's the real question: is Hank going to learn a thing?
Yeah.
After all this time,
is he
going to actually experience some kind of change? Or are we just going to have static character Hank the whole time? I don't know.
I'm very interested to see what happens here, because I feel as though almost, I don't know. I don't want to guess, but I don't see him learning a whole lot here. I do see him becoming more of of the world, becoming more of the those like him. Then,
well, maybe, yeah.
But again, the story arc, it's obviously there's a lot of things changing on in the background, like his soap, merchants. Like,
yeah,
okay, there's actually a lot of things going on here that we have no idea about. We're just going to be brought into light of like, oh yeah, there's that thing that I've been working on, and so who knows what's about to happen.
True, that's true. What other random things like that are happening? So yeah, we'll keep an eye out for one of these. It's like a random Wheel of Time story beat. Oh yeah, didn't you know I was doing this all along?
All along.
What? Huh? Here we're probably meant to believe that the scope of his industry was so incredibly vast that he couldn't have mentioned everything that he did. Exactly. I imagine that's what we're supposed to believe. In the Wheel of Time, it's just because they forgot to tell you.
So that'll be couldn't be bothered so much.
There you go. So in closing today, if I can open my camera. Oh yes, the Mark Twain quote of the week.
Oh yes,
right. Inspired, possibly directly by Mr. Hank Morgan himself. The secret of getting ahead is getting started.
Yes.
There you go. That's a good.
Absolutely. And Hank is definitely getting started on something, that which we do not know yet.
Do we know what it is? Not a clue.
No.
But
does Hank know? Also no. So we will.
There you go. So a haiku for you
a haiku.
As a departing gift.
Yes.
Him. Gracefully swimming. Captivating yet deadly. Lightning flash of teeth.
Ooh. Okay. Breaking out the big guns for this one.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
Shark Week comes but once a year, so you gotta have
you gotta be ready to do it. Yes.
Gotta have the haiku ready to go.
Boom.
There you go. Kablam.
Okay. Well, that sets us off into a great start to the next time. Wants to contemplate. Very good. Love it. Hey, well, all right. Who knows? Maybe next time will be an in-person recording on a boat while fishing.
I don't know if it'd be on a boat, but I would imagine we can talk about that later.
We'll talk about it. We'll plan. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Very good. Okay. Well, until then.
All right.
Love you.
Love you too.
Bye.